Welcome back to the Root Network. We're so glad that you're with us on today. My name is Archie Collins. I'm the senior pastor here at World Changers Church Houston. So glad to have with us today Kara Anderson. Kara, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself again and introduce yourself?
All right. Hi, my name is Kara. I am the media director and one of the praise team leaders here at World Changers Church Houston. I've been here for about 10 years and I have 4 amazing kids.
Yep, absolutely. Mm-hmm. So we're glad to have you on with us. Pastor Melissa and I met you, like you said, was that 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
At one of our first locations over there by Hobby Airport. Mm-hmm. You've been a blessing since day one. And so we're excited that you're here with us on today. Cool. And here's the last thing I had on here was date when you have a solid church home you are serving in. Now, somebody may say, well, that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. Mm-hmm. Here's why I say that. It's because you'll find that you have accountability, not just in the spiritual. That comes from that solid relationship with God we talked about earlier in the segment. That gives you spiritual accountability, but you need natural accountability when you are dating. So when you are a part of a church body, man, you have friends, you have your department leaders if you're serving, you have obviously your pastors, you have that natural accountability around you that helps kind of keep things in check. Here's what I wrote down: staying busy, loving others, which is what you should do as a part of a church. You should be being fruitful and serving and loving others with the love of the Lord. But staying busy and loving others is a great way to stay out of trouble when you're single.
That's very important. The whole staying busy, loving others, to me, I look at it like, you're strengthening your love muscle, right? Mm-hmm. Because the more you're able to love people that you don't know, or the people that you serve with, or whatever the case may be, the easier it's going to be for you to, when you get into a relationship or when you begin to date, for you to still extend that same love. It's just when you're serving, you're working that love muscle. Right. You're strengthening that love muscle to where it comes naturally, and you have that accountability circle, like you said, just those brothers and sisters around you that you serve with, or the church body that helps to guide you and lift you up and make deposits in you that are necessary for you to maintain a stable relationship when you're ready for it. And I like something that you guys said in the Charting the Course Singles Edition. Watch it if you haven't. But you talked about, in a single state, the serving at the church, the church serves as kind of like your spouse, so to speak, right? And so for me, that was rhema word, because I was just like, man, that is so true. Like, if you're willing to serve people, it's going to be so much easier to serve within a relationship.
Yeah, especially when you're serving unconditionally,
right? And
just learning how to give of yourself when you don't want to. Like, oh man, I don't want to volunteer for this thing this day. But you know what? Holy Spirit, I sense you telling me, I hear you telling me to get involved. That's going to translate right into your marriage. Trust me, after 25 years of marriage, it translates right into it. No, I do not want to get up and give you water. Or no, I don't want to go change the baby's diaper. Or, no, I don't. But it's like you've learned to do it at church. You've learned to override yourself for the sake of love.
Yeah. That's absolutely true.
Yeah. So if you struggle in that, there's a lot of people who are Christians who struggle in that area, especially if they've been single for some time.
Yeah.
Considering others is not a muscle, as to put it your way, that they've had to flex.
Yeah.
Especially if they don't have kids or their kids are grown or whatever like that. It's like, it's been all about me. I've been, taking care of me, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. But getting involved in your church and everything like that, man, it helps you flex that muscle, and then you won't be in shock.
Right.
Pause. When you move into marriage, after dating, and you now have to have this godly love coming from you. Yeah. It'll be in you because you're saved and Holy Spirit is in there and you have a well of love in there, but you won't find yourself cutting it off and not letting it flow out of you to your spouse, because you'll be like, oh, this is very familiar. This is what I do at church all the time. Not just what I do in my relationship with God. That's one part. But can I naturally in this world walk in love?
Right.
That's going to help you so much on your course of learning how to date and date holy, and dating that is what I call productive, or like Kara said, dating with a purpose. So, Kara, you want to end out with anything on that?
I I do. I just ask you to just extend grace to the people that you meet. You know, I realize that we're all a product of our environment. We're all a product of our upbringing, wherever we may have been raised, whatever culture, whatever habits or whatever. You have to understand and extend grace and realize that everyone is not going to think like you. Everyone hasn't had the same life experiences as you. So just extend grace in that regard, because I do realize that there was one point where I had this list, you know, and you know, you have popular opinions about the lists and not so popular opinions about the list. But what I realized after I finally took my list to the Lord, He said, "You're asking for Jesus."
Wow.
And I was like, "Oh, am I?" I was like, "God, He has to be perfect in this. He has to be perfect in that. He has to do this. He has to do that." And I was looking for what looked perfect. And He reminded me that I was looking for Jesus. So I had to backtrack and realize that I'm not going to find those specific things in one individual except Jesus.
Right. Which is what you're supposed to do first.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I had to backtrack, and that meant that I wasn't ready at that particular time. But extend grace to others. You know, that's not saying compromise your beliefs. But if the person likes opera and you don't, okay, that's one thing that y'all don't have in common.
Right.
But eventually, I would hope that you would grow to a point where you say, you know what, we're in this together. What's important to you is important to me. So what? I don't like opera, but I'll go to the opera with you.
Right,
You
right.
know, so.
Yeah.